Hello guys, so I have filed down the little part that was causing us trouble here, so that'll slide into place, no problem. I've got a screw here that will fit this, that's the little servo arm, so we'll pop that in first, and the screw comes in from the other side. So that should be this end fixed in place. So that end of the arm is fixed in place. This end is going to be clamped between this bottom part, and when we screw this other piece on, that's going to clamp that top piece of the servo arm in. So that's not going to move on us anyway. It's actually it's so tight in that little hollow that we left for it that I don't think it would come out now that the screw is in anyway. Well, it would come out, but you'd have to put a lot of force in it. You'd probably break the plastic first. So this part now we can slide in here. We'll have to take this out again because we'll have to run the wires through the slot. I don't know if I showed that in the last video. So there's a slot there for the wires, and that should suit some ribbon cable. So we'll have ribbon cable running back to the 4 motors in the rear here for the wheels, the 5th motor for the raising of the bed, and then we'll have some lights there. There's lights on a Volvo A40D on the bed itself, so we'll have to wire those in, and that'll all be coming on ribbon cable through this slot here. So hopefully that's gonna fit out. I maybe could have made it a little taller, but I think it'll be enough for what we need. We want to keep it rigid at the same time, so that's what we're working with there. There's also the mounting points for the batteries here. It looks like, I forget how this was wired, but it looks like they had ground, probably 3.6 volts and then 4.8 volts, because this is a set of 4 AA batteries. So maybe they were taking power unregulated from 3 of the batteries to power the circuit board, and then the motors were being driven by all 4 batteries, which is okay, but it means that these 3 batteries would discharge slightly faster than the 4th battery up here. But then again, the motors are going to be drawing the majority of the current, so the actual radio circuitry was probably minimal anyway, so probably wasn't that significant. I might use those 4 batteries to drive them. I do have rechargeable AA batteries that charge in about 20 minutes, so I might use those instead of a LiPo, just to have something slightly different on this one. This then, we have the single screw here to hold this in place, so we mount that in there like that. So that's fit in there nicely. It's well secured in between this slot because it was so tight. When we filed it out, we still have a good tight fitment there. Well, this matches the original curvature, so our fake pistons here should be fine, or fake rams, they should be fine. So now our front component can come in like this. It's going to be clamped down with this piece. We can screw that in place, and that's our pivot point back in position there. And the next thing I need to do is to make some sort of a bracket that is going to mount our servo in here. So you can see there the servo arm coming through. It's a little bit deep into this recess here, but if you notice that there's a small gap here, and then the threads of the servo start, so I think that's going to be all right. There's a good grip there on the threads, so I don't think there's an issue. If we make this little bracket, mount it to this removable piece here, so that servo will be fixed on there, we should be able to push the whole thing together, get the threads lined up between the servo and the servo arm, and then screw it tightly together with the 2 mounting points here and here. So that's those 2 points there, and that would mean that we'd have full control of our joint here in the center, and we'd be able to adjust the position with just those 2 screws. Just take them off, twist our thing slightly if we, our front section slightly if we need to, and remount the servo, getting the threads lined up again, so that we'll say our 90 degree point on our servo is straightforward, or as close to straightforward as we can. And then we can make our limit adjustments in the software to make sure that the servo is not trying to bend too far. The servo might struggle to twist all of these tires when it's fully loaded, so we might end up having to try and do some sort of a software trick, so that, say, these 2 wheels drive forward, these 2 drive in reverse, this one drives in reverse, and this one drives in forward, so that when the servo is turning, trying to turn this part this way, that these wheels are driving towards each other and these wheels are driving away from each other, so that the servo's not doing all the work. It's not having to drag all of this rubber sideways. So we might need to do that. We're going to have to test it out, really. That probably won't be too noticeable if we're on like gravel or soil or something like that, but I have a feeling on the sandpaper kind of imitation road that we have on the diorama, that it is going to be under a lot of stress, and the servo might not be able to turn this. So this is a Metal Gear servo. It's probably a little bit more powerful than most in this size, and it's nice that it's this small because we can hide it behind the cab here. But I'm trying to avoid having to put a very large servo in the front here. I want to try and keep as much space up here for the electronics as we can. So that is the plan at the minute. The next thing to do is design up our little bracket for this, and then we can move on. Just in case you're wondering, I went for, I don't know if you can see that, see the little angle on those kind of fake button things. So I thought it looked alright, and I kind of got them lined up, just put a few dots of glue on the bottom there. So I think that's good enough for that little piece. We still have to add the lights, but that's all that's left really on that cab part. So that's where we are at the minute. Maybe I'll have another update later, depends how I get on, but that's it for the minute. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed.